Hello everyone, welcome to Chapter 2, Lesson 6. This says predict 2 things to learn about estimating with percents. So we are estimating with percents on page 137. So we can say I will learn to estimate with percents using compatible numbers. And then we'll also learn how to estimate with percents using equivalent ratios. Okay, so we're going to check out the real world link. This is Josephina surveyed 298 students and found that 52% like scary movies. Estimate the number of students that like scary movies. Well, I know this is 0% on the left. So in the middle is going to be 50%. And then in the middle of 0 and 50% is 25%. So I know this is going to be increments of 25. So the middle of 50 and 100% is 75%. So 0%, 25%, 50%, 75%. And then we have the number. So we're estimating. So 298 is going to estimate to 300. So at 25%, we're at 75, 50% we're at 150, and 75% we're at 225. So number 1 says write the common percents from 0 to 100% at the top of the bar diagram. We've already done that. Which common percent is 52% close to? It says shade the bar diagram. 52% is going to be close to 50%. So I'm going to shade 50% of the bar diagram. This is round 298 to the nearest 100. So we're at 300. And then we wrote that here under the box of 100%. Using the bar diagram, estimate 52% of 298. So we estimated 52% to 50. I'm just going to write that, a little note above, and that to 300. So we can say since 52% is close to 50% and 298 is close to 300, I can use 50% and 300 in my bar diagram. I can estimate that 150 is about 52% of 298. So because we're using 50% 300, when you say what's 50% of 300, we're at 150. So that's half. 50% is half, and 150 is half of 300. So our final answer for the number of students that like scary movies would be 150. So right here. So use the bar diagram to estimate 73% of 400. So like we did above, between 0 and 100 is going to be 50%, and then we have 25%, 75%. And we have 0, 100, 200, 300, and the last is going to be 400. So 73% is going to be close to 75%. So if I shade all the way up to 75%, I'm going to be at 300. So we're going to be estimating the percents of a number. It says estimating with percents will provide a reasonable solution to many real-world problems. Choose compatible numbers when estimating the percent of a number. So we're doing 47% of 692. So it says 47% is close to 50%, or 1/2, because 50% is equivalent to 1/2. Now 692, we're going to round that to 700. So I need to find 1/2 of 700. And 1/2 of 700 is going to be 350. So 50% of 700 is 350. And if you didn't notice, I can also write 1/2 times 700 over 1 equals 700 over 2, which equals 350. So whenever we see of, like 50% of, in that case, 1/2 of 700, 50% of 700, we can actually multiply to get our answer. So number 2 says 60% of 27. So if you convert 60% to a fraction, we get 3/5. So just a short review, that's 60/100, and after you simplify, that equals 3/5. So that's why 60% is 3/5. Now, so we have 3/5 of 27. So we did this in the previous lesson where we want our whole number here to be compatible with our denominator here. So what number is close to 27 that's compatible with 5? So we can estimate this to be 3/5 of about 25, because 25 and 5 are compatible. So if I do 3/5 times 25 over 1, that crosses out to 1, that's 2/5, because dividing by 5, divided by 5. So now we have 3 times 5 equals 15. So 60% of 27 is about 15. Now, if you would like to use the model, so here's from 0 to 25. If you divide that in fifths, because we have the denominator of 5, and that's why we have, I'm actually going to do a different color. We have denominator of 5. That's why there's 5 boxes. And then if we get 3 out of the 5, that's here, and then 5, 10, 15, 15 is there. So 16% of 25 is about 15. So I'm actually going to do A with you guys, and then I'm going to have you guys do B and C. So we have 48% of 76. So we just have to remember we want to use compatible numbers. So 48%, I'm going to round that. That's pretty close to 50%. And 76, I'm going to change that to 80, because I can easily find 50% of 80. So we know 50% is also 1/2. So I also know that I can multiply. And this is going to equal 40. So go ahead and try B and C. Just remember to estimate, you want to estimate to compatible numbers. Alright, so for B, I did 18% is close to 20%. So 20% as a fraction is 20 over 100 is going to equal 1 over 5. And 42, I changed that to 40 because that's a compatible number with my 5 down here. So I have 1/5 times 40 over 8. 40 over 1, and that's going to give me 8. Now for C, I actually did two different ways because I know, since we're estimating, I know the book answers here. For my class, I'm going to say this is an acceptable answer. I said 73. I wanted to do 70% because I knew I can get 7 over 10 as my fraction. And 7 over 10 times 40, if I cross divide, that gives me 28. The book did 75%, so 75% is going to go to 3 over 4. So 3 over 4 times 40 over 1 is going to equal 30. So because we're estimating, depends on your teacher, because you're estimating, some people may have different answers. All right, so example 3. Polar bears can eat as much as 10% of their body weight in less than 1 hour. If an adult male polar bear weighs 715 pounds, about how much food can he eat in 1 hour? So what we need is 10% of 715. I know 10% equals 10 over 100, which equals 1 over 10. So 1 over 10, and I can make 715, I'm going to make that to 700 because that's an easy number with 10. So my class should know the shortcut. If we have a number that ends in a 0 on top and a number ends in 0 on bottom, we can cross out a 0 each. So that means an adult male can eat about 70 pounds of food in 1 hour. So go ahead and try D. So for D, I did 30% of 238. I just changed mine to 30% of 240. Because I know 30% is going to be 3 over 10, and I just used a multiple of 10. So 3 over 10 times 240 over 1, and I get $72. The book answer was $80, but like I said, we're estimating. So just make sure you check in with your teacher about your answers. So in example 4, this is 17% of 198. So with 17%, you can round that to 20%, and 198 can be rounded to 200. So 20% is going to be it's actually going to be 2 out of 10, which equals 1/5 times 200 over 1. So that equals 200 divided by 5, and that's going to equal 40. Oh, I'm sorry. So this is the way we have been doing it. Now it says estimate using the rate per 100. So if you look here, it says 17% is 17 out of 100. This 198 is 200. Now it says since 200 is 100 plus 100 here, and we know 17% is 17 out of 100, we can actually, since that's 100 plus 100 equals 200, we can do 17 plus 17 equals 34. So the estimate would be 34. So this is new method. And this is old method. So I'm just going to go over the new method one more time. So the important information is 17 out of 100. That's 17%. And since 200 is 100 plus 100, if I take 17% of 100, that's 17. If I take 17% of 100 again, that's also 17. So in total, 17% of 200 is going to be 34. So let's go over example 5. It says an airline records the snack orders of passengers. Last year, 9% of all passengers ordered ginger ale to drink. There are 408 passengers in the flight to Houston, Texas. About how many passengers does this airline expect to order ginger ale on this flight? So remember using unit rates of 100, so 9% is 9 out of 100. Because, the fraction 9 out of 100. So if we estimate 408 to 400, that's 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100, or 100 times 4, we can do the same with 9. So 9% plus 9% plus 9% plus 9%, or 9% times 4, we get 36. So about 36 passengers will order ginger ale. So I'm going to do E with you guys, and then I want you guys to try F and G. So we'll do, I'm going to make a little bit more space, E here. So 27% of 300. So I know to get 300, this 3, so 27% of 300. I'm sorry, 307, and I'm going to estimate that to 300. Now, if I'm using unit rates of 100, I know 3 times 100 equals 300. So 27% of 100 is 27. So I can do the same thing here. 3 times 27 equals 51. Because I know 27% of 100 is 27. So go ahead and try F and G. So for F, we have 76 of 192. That should be 76%. So 200 is the close estimate to 192. Since 100 plus 100 equals 200, 76% of 100 is 76. So 76 plus 76 equals 152. So 76% of 200 is going to be 152. For G, it says last year 24% of the zoo visitors were under the age of 3. Last week, the zoo had 996 visitors. About how many of the zoo visitors were under the age of 3? So we need 24% of 996, or I estimated 24% of 1,000. And we've been saying this whole unit of 100, 24% of 100 is 24. So if I get 10,000, 10 times 100 equals 1,000. So that means 10 times 24 is 240. So 24% of 1,000 is going to be 240. But that is the end of the lesson. So thank you for watching.